All right, first things first, you will want to have the mirror folded in. It makes things a lot easier. Take your prying tool, come right under the edge, pop up, just go down the edge, and there are several clips that come loose. So the clips on that end, clips on that end, so to start on this edge here, it'll come up really easily. You've got 4 Phillips head screws, one here, 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 and here. You'll need a number 2 Phillips head to get these screws out. There's a very coarse thread, they come out pretty easily. And a longer screwdriver handle will be a little bit easier. This is the first one that I grabbed, so we're using it. Once those 4 screws are out, that holds on the bottom section. So you can now pull that down, and you want to twist it, and it'll come right out. The key there is to twist at the mirror base, or the actual shroud base. It'll pop right out. Okay, now we've got the bottom panel off. There are 3 more Phillips head screws, so we'll remove those. You can see this is actually getting a little bit loose. So you want to make sure you're holding it in place so it doesn't fall. And now we can just lift up, and this section of the mirror is loose. The cable retention here, there's quite a bit of slack, so you can pull that out to actually work on it. Okay, so now we've got the mirror shroud loose, we can take the glass out. So if you take your panel popper here, get right under the glass, and carefully pry out around the edges. That will pop the glass loose. I should be aware there are wires down here if you have heated mirrors. Or maybe it's for tinting. Might be for tinting. I don't know what these 2 wires are for, but I do know you need to disconnect them. And they are small wires. So now we have 4 screws to take out, but one of them you cannot get to until you take this piece off. So there are clips on here. You want to make sure you pop out the glass before you try doing anything with this. I'm going to pop these clips off. There's one here, one over in the middle, and the one in the back about right here. And this side just kind of slips up in there. So we're going to take that loose. Okay, so I've used this pick tool to push in on the edges, which you'll see here in a second, to get all this loose. We can see how that comes out. So these little clips you've got to push in this way, push back that way, and then outside that way. Then for the turning indicator, we've got another wire. But you may have to use a pick tool to get the plug loose. So now from here, we can get to all the screws. There, and then the 4th one under there. And you will need a longer screwdriver to get down to those. With all of those screws removed, we can now pull this out. So make sure you don't lose any of your screws. I just let them fall because it's easier to have the shroud catch it. So now with this loose, here's where it gets different. You have to unplug all the wires from here. That's why you don't have to take the door panel loose. So there's a small clip on this one, and it comes back. That one you've already disconnected. That one you've already disconnected. This plug down here, which is a little tight. You may want to pull slack. So that harness is out. We have to pull this around the corner. Okay, on the passenger side I did not run into this, but on the driver's side I did. You can see where the corner there, I just used some wire cutters and cut a little notch in there to pull the wire through to get the slack out. The other side I didn't run into that. Not sure why this one was this way. I don't know if the other one had been replaced at some point or not, but now you can run the wire completely through here. You're going to want to start with the longer of the two. They go through much easier that way. So these two wires you want to hold back, pull the slack out, and pull a longer harness through first. Okay, so now we've removed the entire thing. We can take the whole casing off, and if you left your screws in there, don't forget those. So as you can see on the inside, they are made slightly different, but they mount up identical. So now with our new one, you have to feed this through first. And then we can feed back through here. You want to put reverse order the yellow wires and the brown and black through first. It does help if you put the pins so they're facing you, coming up this way. It goes through much easier. So after you pulled your wires through, we're going to put all the wires back, so the brown and black will go through this clip. You'll want to take this harness and put it back through that same hole that we made before. And that plugs in down here at the bottom. And now we can secure this back in place with the 4 screws. Okay, now we've got this mounted back up. We've got these 2 wires for the glass, these for the turning indicator. So we can put that through. And I'm being very careful not to break the clips and make sure everything's in the correct arrangement. And that just clips right in. So from this point, I like to mount the glass after everything is secure. So we're going to go ahead and put the 3 screws in the bottom back in. So now we've put the 3 screws back in down here on the bottom. Make sure you observe that when you put this back on, it's back on in the folded position. Remember, that's how you took it off. There's a little notch right here. So when you go to motorize the mirror back, there's clearance over here, so we'll try to open back out this way. So make sure you have that. When you go to put it on, it may not feel like it goes down all the way. Just get a screw started, it'll pull down some, go to another one, and just go around, and you'll see the whole thing kind of pull down till it's eventually flat, how it's supposed to be. All this slack, make sure you've got the groove here, and we can take this wire, tuck it back this way to the point we can put the rest of it back together. So now we're going to put the bottom piece back in, and the same way we had to rotate it out to get it off, we have to rotate it back to get it back in. So let's get it under there. You're going to have the bottom of this downwards a little bit to get around the wiring harness and where all the other mounts are. And the tricky part is to get it around this rubber piece. On the back side back here, there's a lip in the plastic and a lip on the metal, and you need to get that lip behind the metal. It will keep it snug against the rubber. So one trick that can kind of help here is the rubber. Make sure you manhandle it with your fingers, kind of push it down so you can get the ridges here and here behind it. But absolutely make sure that this end is actually clipped in before you get to that point. So now we can put the 4 screws back in, here, 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 and here. Now that we've got the bottom piece screwed in with all 4 screws, this piece can go back in. You have to go in this side first. Make sure you get it tucked under the rubber. And that just clicks right back in. So now we're to the point we can put the glass back in, which we'll have to fold the mirror back out. Alright, now it's time to put the glass back in. So you gotta remember, you do have 2 plugs. And you're probably going to get fingerprints on your glass unless you wear gloves. But here it just clicks right in, and that's all there is to it. You might have to adjust this depending if you've moved everything around in this time. But at this point, everything is complete, and you have now swapped the mirror without having to remove the door panel. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for more videos on all the other car stuff that I do, as well as random McLaren stuff, actual repairs, replacements, and general upgrades work, that kind of thing that I do on these. If you have any suggestions for other videos or anything else you'd like to see, comment below.